Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the World Demolition Summit, or WDS for short, organised by KHL Group, magazine Demolition and Recycling International, in association with the European Demolition Association and the National Demolition Association of the USA. I hope that you're all very well and safe. Thank you very much for being with us online today. My name is Alex Taylor. I'm speaking to you live from Paris. I've hosted quite a few demolition awards in Amsterdam. Maybe we've seen each other before. I'm delighted to be doing it online today. In case there are any technical problems, I'd just like to let you know that Steve Ducker, who is editor of Demolition and Recycling International, is waiting to step into my shoes if my internet gets cut off. Of course, we were all expecting to be in Vienna for this event, but instead we're meeting here in virtual space. Delighted to have you with us. This is a first, obviously, for WDS, but not, I suspect, the first online event that you have attended over the last 8 months. Things may not be normal, but we can still all gather together to celebrate the achievements of the industry. And you can still interact, maybe even better, online with other attendees using the chat function on the event platform. So please do feel free to chat. There's also a video call function where you can arrange a video chat with the representatives of the sponsors or any attendee at all. We are also taking the opportunity today, offered by this new format, to make a few changes. We're going to combine the announcement of the winners in our 14 event categories with 4 conference-style presentations on high-profile demolition projects that we really think will bring added value and variety to our events. There will be 2 speakers in each half of the program, either side of a 5-minute break. Between the first 2 speakers, we will be revealing the winners of 7 award categories in a single session, and then we will repeat this with the remaining 7 categories between the 3rd and the 4th speakers. To give you some guidance on timing, each speaker will talk for about 15 minutes, followed by a 5-minute question and answer session. So please feel free to send in your questions. Each session of awards announcements will last around 20 to 25 minutes. You can see the whole program on the WDS platform. All told, the whole thing will last about 2.5 hours we have together, and we'll do our best to keep to the timing. So obviously with the awards, we can't replicate the cheering and the applause and clapping that we get at a normal WDS, but we do have representatives of all the shortlisted companies online in a virtual meeting room, biting their nails, I'm sure, because they don't know who's won. So when we interview the winners, if the technology works, you will be seeing them live and reacting in real time. None of the shortlisted companies knows who has won, and I think we can see them now all on screen. So please give a wave if you're one of the shortlisted companies. There we are, we can see them all. So you can also view a special shortlist brochure, which is available to download from the award shortlist section on the events app. I'd also like to very much thank the sponsors for today's events. That's Volvo Construction Equipment is our headline sponsor. Also supporting the event today are awards category sponsors Epiroc and Steelrist, break sponsor Komatsu, shortlisted brochure Dehako. Thanks also to our supporting sponsors, Genesis, Intermat, Kyverco Recycling Plant, Kokuric Excavators, Matec Machinery Technology, the National Federation of Demolition Contractors, Zenebogen, and Terry Irving Business Generation. You can see more about the sponsors in the sponsors box on your screen, and you can interact with their representatives whose details can be found there. And to finish, there's also a networking section within the platform, which you can use to chat to attendees and sponsors. But if you want to ask a specific question regarding one of our presentations, please use the question and answer function within the live feed, which can also be accessed via the agenda button. The agenda section is a very good place to ask questions for specific sessions in advance, and I'll be taking the questions. Right, I hope that was all clear. Let's make a start with our very first speaker today, Angus Holdsworth, your Managing Director of Andun Consultants based in the UK. Angus, you're going to be speaking on the Churchill Way flyover demolition that happened in Liverpool, including demolition sequencing, propping, and temporary works design. Over to you, Angus.
Good afternoon, Alex, and good afternoon, everybody else. Thank you for joining us. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Churchill Way demolition. The project started in September 2019 and was completed in December 2019. So it's quite a short time frame for the on-site works. The client for the project was Liverpool City Council. The principal contractor for the scheme was Graham's. Demolition contractor was Sam Evans and Sons. We did the temporary works, demolition engineering. Sarans did all the heavy lifting, which you'll see shortly, and Core Cut did all of the saw cutting and diamond drilling on the scheme. This video here gives you an overview of the site. You can see here one of the flyovers. That's the Mersey Tunnel, so that is in very close proximity to the project. This is the South flyover we're looking at. This is the World Museum in Liverpool, again very close and a sensitive neighbour to the project. We also had the footbridge that crossed underneath the flyovers, which was demolished as one of the first parts of the work. And now we're running back along the north flyover, and here is a university building. And then just below, or to the west end of the north cantilever of the north flyover, is accommodation, again in very close proximity. Not a great deal of room between the flyovers and all the constraints in the city centre, plus two main roads and a railway in a tunnel underneath. Now, I've tried this presentation a few ways round. The best way is to view the video first, which gives you a flavour of what it is we're talking about. So this is an SPMT here being driven into position underneath one of the sections of the viaduct. SPMTs were used throughout to move parts of the viaduct around. That's column propping, which we'll touch on later. That's propping to the mid-span of the structure, or one of the spans of the structure. That's the guys cutting it up. It was all diamond wire sawed up into pieces on top of the SPMTs and moved out. There was an awful lot of cutting on the project. That's one of the first cuts completing. That's an SPMT showing what it does best, which is move heavy loads in a very, very controlled manner in pretty much the direction, any direction you can think of. So that's with a 450-ton lump sitting on top of it. Moving over to the SAR lifts, where it was then lifted up, dropped to the ground. So that's a SAR lift there, which we use to lift it off the SPMT, lower it to the ground, and then cut it into pieces, as you'll see throughout the presentation. That's one of the pieces being taken out onto the back of wagons and away to a site a few miles away, where it was then broken up for hardcore to be recycled as part of new road construction. The last four spans of the structure were taken out in a traditional manner because of proximity of a gas main that we couldn't get approval to load with the SAR lift. So it was all done traditionally, the last four spans on the north and the south. And you can see it makes quite a big difference. I wish they'd done the video a little bit later on with the site gone completely, but there you go, you get the idea. Okay, so the structure itself, there was two flyovers, north and south, both around 250 metres in length each one. The north viaduct up here was pretty much on a straight alignment. The south was on a curve as its own there. Fixed bearing in the centre, and then each of the piers were on roller bearings that allowed longitudinal movement and expansion of the structure. So logically, you'd want to start at the ends and work towards the centre. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to do that, which you'll see later on. Structure was up to 14 metres in height, an open structure, quite typical of 1960s vintage in the UK, post-tensioned, slender, long span. Columns are about 1.5 metres diameter, and as I mentioned earlier, the viaduct and the base of all of the piers, apart from the central fixed one, were on longitudinal bearings that allowed movement, which then posed stability issues when it came to the demolition sequence. There's also a footbridge here, which was for quite a lot of the north span that was in place. Now, this structure was post-tensioned. The records from the time were not particularly clear. So it's a question as to, were they post-tensioned in individual spans? Were they pairs post-tensioned? There was a lot of uncertainty, which drove a lot of the decisions on the project. Then there was also the question, were the tendons grouted or non-grouted? The decision was made that we would treat it or take into account the potential for it to be non-grouted. Non-grouted meaning that if you cut through the tendons, they would release and you'd lose any post-tensioning effect. To counteract that, we had a propping system, so we had a shear prop and a central prop. This basically meant that if we lost the post-tensioning force, the bridge would sit on those props and would not cause a catastrophic failure. You can also see there the propping around the columns. Then, in simple terms, we drove SPMTs underneath it and we cut it into sections and transferred them off. So the sequence was fairly convoluted. As I said earlier, logically you would work towards the fixed pier in the centre of the viaduct. We weren't allowed to do that due to client constraints, so we actually had to start off with these pair here. Then we had to do the pair over the road, which include the fixed pier, and then that bit there. So stability was an issue throughout. This was then followed up by starting with the fixed pair and then working our way back down the structure. Again, stability issues that we had to take into account throughout. The props themselves were detailed specifically to fit and allow the SPMTs to get into place. So if the structure had sat down onto the props, we had to have a system where we could get the SPMTs into place, which made it fairly tricky. So we came up with this central prop with a header beam and a series of plates that then picked up the radius side of the radius under here. So there you go, you can see the propping in place, shear prop, column prop, half a column prop, and then the mid-span prop in there, and then the SPMTs could drive in here either side, same the other side, and then you can still put your arrangement in place that allowed you to carry on the demolition should the worst happen. Columns were on longitudinal roller bearings, so we had to come up with an arrangement to clamp those, which meant that you could slice out the bridge sections either side and leave the column and the crosshead on top. The crosshead in itself was around 50 tonnes, so with the column you were talking 60, 70 tonnes, and that solution there worked quite nicely. You can see one in place there. This one we've cut through already, so it was doing its job there already. The saw cutting had to be thought through, so the saw cuts were placed to give you release, so they were done at a sloping angle in two directions, so you could lift with the SPMT and then you could drive out, and as you moved you gave yourself more clearance. The saw cutting was planned, so we did the outer web, then the inner web. It was sequenced like that to ensure we didn't overload the structure or try and cause it to fall over. You can see there where we cut through the tendon, one of the post-tensioning tendons, and you can see it's cut through quite nicely. There's been very little retraction of the tendons, so the post-tensioning itself was still active, which is as we predicted. So the propping was never actually required. It was a fail-safe. SPMTs, the Sarens toys, amazing bits of kit. Have a look on YouTube and you'll see just what they can do. On top of the SPMTs, we had these header beams, which were designed with a flip-up end piece because the stroke on the SPMT was quite short. So it took a lot of thought to solve all the problems. Here we can see a little video of one coming out. I'm going to try and skip it because it's not very exciting. So that's the central pair. That's a fixed pier in the middle there that's been lifted out. We took these two out in one span, which is why there's a big steel beam on the top deck. And you can see the SPMTs rolling out there. I'm not going to let it run because we haven't got time today, but out it comes. The wheels have all turned 90 degrees and it starts traveling off in the other direction. Seem to be getting stuck, so I'll skip off that. SAR lifts, again, off the shelf pieces of kit from Sarans that can lift quite heavy loads. This one itself can lift 1,000 tons. In the arrangement we had, we needed to lift 650 was the maximum. So we had a pair of these on the site in different configurations to allow us to lift the sections of concrete off the back of the wagon, off the back of the SPMTs. There's an SPMT with a section of the flyover sitting on it, and then we lift it with the SAR lift, drive the SPMT out, and then lower it to the ground. Once it was on the ground, we lowered it onto these steel sections recovered from another site where Sam Evans were doing the demolition. Cut these pockets in them that allowed us to saw cut it into slices, exactly as you see there, lifted off onto the back of a lorry, and away you go. The last four spans on the east, on the north and the south viaduct were done traditional demolition in situ, using machines sitting at ground level, breaking out the deck because we proved it was post-tensioned. The change in methodology was driven by the fact there was a gas main over here and over here that we couldn't put the SAR lift system on. So the last 4 or the last 8 pieces were done traditionally, and that all went very nicely as well. So to sum up in a bit of a whistle-stop tour through Churchill Way Viaduct, as you can appreciate, I've missed out quite a lot of detail, but with the time scale we had available, we've had to gloss over some of the finer details, shall we say. It was a technically complex project in a very restrictive site. It was completed safely, on time, on budget, and it was delivered in a collaborative manner from all of the parties to ensure that we got there. You can see there a banner that features everybody who's involved in the project. It was a real team effort to get us over the line and get the project done safely. And back over to you, Alex.
Thank you very much indeed, Angus. That was very interesting. A question: what was the most surprising thing? What lessons did you learn? What was the most surprising thing you had from this experience?
Most surprising thing? That's an interesting question. I think it was working closely with Sarans was a nice surprise with the kit they have available and the off-the-shelf components we've got for moving these big lumps around. It was initially we were going down the route of specially designed items, and then started talking with Sarans and the kit they've got available off the shelf for us to use in projects like this. That was a nice surprise, I would say.
Okay, we have another question that's just come in. Did you do any structural analysis before the demolition?
Yes, we did. So we had to do 2 approval in principle documents for the Highways Agency. The first one covered the temporary works designs for all the propping. That was all done, Cat 3 checked by another company. And then we also had to do a full analysis of both the viaducts to prove that they were stable during the demolition process. So there was a full in-depth, an awful lot of work went into demonstrating that the demolition process was safe for the structure, and we did all of that, and it was checked by Ramboll. They did a third-party check and validated our assumptions or our design.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Angus. If we were all together, you'd hear a massive round of applause. That was very interesting. Thank you very much, and thank you for your questions. So now we move on to the first of our 2 awards segments today for 7 awards. But first of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the judges whose names you will be seeing on the screen at any time, I think. They obviously had a lot of work to do, so thank you very much indeed to all of the judges. Too late to influence them now, obviously, but thank you. We divided each category between 3 of the 9 members of the judging panel, allocating on average 4 categories per judge. But obviously, and please be reassured, none of the judges were allocated to any categories which their company had entered for. So to give you a flavour of the awards, we have a short video with a few comments from some of the judging panel. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Bill Moore from Environmental Resources Management, better known as ERM, and I'm coming to you this year from Indiana in the United States. I'm one of the judges, and I have to tell you that I've been very impressed this year with some of the entries. The jobs just keep getting more and more complex, bigger and bigger, and in some cases they're in very remote locations, requiring the machines to be disassembled and either shipped or flown in pieces and then put together once they get to the job sites. Anyway, I hope to see you all again next year in person, and in the meantime, please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jim Graham with Winter Companies in Atlanta, Georgia. Wanted to congratulate the 25 applicants that I had an opportunity to review in 5 categories: collaboration, civils, industrial, environmental and safety, and finally projects under $1 million. Great job by everybody. Congratulations to each and every one of you for submitting the application. Best of luck to you. Be safe and be well.
Hello, I'm Patrick Fry from Caldem in France. Just a little word about the 2020 World Demolition Awards. What a fantastic competition this year. It has been tougher than ever for us judges to decide between all cases. All shortlisted entries outline a wonderful job. Congratulations to the nominees for their hard work. Good luck to you all. Take care. Stay safe.
So obviously some very hard decisions from our judges there. Now we're going to go through our first 7 categories, as you can see on the screen. And we're going to start with our very first award, Award 1 for Urban Demolition under $10 million. And the shortlist is, they're all waiting in the room, Budget Demolition of Canada for Old Windsor City Hall extraction, Despe of Italy for the Esselunga Livorno Industrial Complex, Chile's Flesan Demolition for the Vivo Copesa Mall project, and finally Veit and Company for its demolition of Marquette University McCormick Hall. So good luck to all of those companies. Revealing the winner for this category and for the first 5 awards in this section, delighted to have the president of the European Demolition Association himself, Francisco Cobo. Francisco.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm delighted to announce that the winner is Veit and Company.
So there we are. Congratulations to our first winner, Veit and Company. And I think we can go to Veit Vice President Steve Hosier. Steve, if I can ask you to unmute and give us your live reaction. Steve.
Not available at the moment, but first off, I'd like to thank the committee for the award and the nomination. It's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this whole group and process. I'd also like to thank our extensive team here at Veit for their collaboration efforts that went into planning and executing this project. As you can see behind me, we have a very supportive and large project that gives us the opportunity to perform such challenging projects across the country and execute these projects safely and successfully. This project posed many challenges to us, from an expedited schedule to an aggressive recycling goal. Our team was able to deliver a plan that not only faced these challenges head on, but did so safely. We sat down with our entire project team throughout this process and came up with the best demolition plan that we could to help accommodate what the client was looking for. So as a team, we planned carefully, executed precisely, and ended up with a successful demolition project in the heart of a busy campus located in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again, we greatly appreciate the opportunity, and it's an honor to be a part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mike. We can see you. Give a big wave, all of you at Veit. Congratulations. There we are for our first award. Let's go on to our second award now, which is Urban Demolition, $10 million or over. The shortlist for the second award is from the UK Ares Contractors for London's 1 Sherwood Street, otherwise known as Piccadilly Lights. Next, we have US-based Kiewit Infrastructure West and the Alaskan Way Viaduct Demolition, and completing the list, Mainland Civil Queensland's demolition under friable asbestos conditions at Australia's Department of Primary Industries building. Francisco, please put them out of their misery.
Okay, the award goes to Kiewit Infrastructure West.
Fantastic, and I think we have Phil Wallace who is going to give a reaction. Do we have Phil? Over to you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the award. Recommend, getting recognized for demolishing a 2-stage highway right through the waterfront of Seattle. It's kind of like the first step in a total regeneration of the rejuvenation of the waterfront for Seattle. So I want to recognize Firma Corporation. That was a demo sub that we worked with, and also the Washington State Department of Transportation. Great owner to work with. Thanks for the award and the recognition. It was great work with all the people down there, working completely safe, no recordables, no damage to any of the buildings, right down in the waterfront of Seattle. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed, Phil, and congratulations to you. Let's move on to our third award, which is Explosive Demolition. We have 3 shortlisted projects in the explosive demolition category. First, a joint entry from the UK's Alford Technologies and Australia's Delta Group for the Hazelwood Power Station chimneys. Next, Jet Demolition of South Africa, who imploded the fire-damaged Bank of Lisbon building in Johannesburg. And our final shortlisted entry is the British company Precision Demolition Company's multi-storey car park project at Barnsley in the north of England. Francisco, they're all waiting to find out. Can you tell us who the winner is?
The winner for this category is Jet Demolition.
So a virtual applause for Jet Demolition. Let's hear from, I think, Joe Brinkman, who is the Managing Director of Jet Demolition. Joe, over to you. If you could unmute and give us your reaction.
Grateful to the committee for selecting us. It was a very, very difficult project indeed. And so I have to thank the Department of Infrastructure Development of the province of Gauteng for awarding us the work. And then thank all of our people who always give their best. And it was a very difficult job, but a very pleasing result. So thank you very much for the award.
Thank you, and congratulations to you, Joe. Thank you very much. And that was our third award. Lots of applause. Obviously, you can hear it from all around the world. Let's go on to award number 4, which is for civils demolition. And we have 4 shortlisted projects for this award. First of all, Delta Group for the Sydney Metro Martin Place North Station. Second, Despe from Mungivaci Bari in southern Italy. Buongiorno. We have Erith Contractors for the Cleveland Street substructure in London. Nice to have you with us. And finally, hola, Flesan Demolition for demolishing 2 concrete trestles in Puerto Barquitas in Chile. So before you announce the winner, Francisco, I think first of all, we have a highly commended.
Thank you, Alex. The highly commended goes to Flesan Demolition.
Okay, so that's a highly commended. Enhorabuena, Flesan Demolition in Chile. And now, Francisco, if you could please announce who won the award.
Yeah, I'm delighted to announce that the civil awards goes to Erith Contractors.
So So this gives us another chance to chat to a winner. This time, I think we have David Darcy, who's Managing Director of Eris Demolition Division. David, over to you. Where are you? Very well.
Yeah, good. I'd like to thank the committee or the judging panels for selecting our project. It was a very logistically challenging project. I think it's a testament to the team that carried the project out, and thank you to KHL for organising this virtual award ceremony. I do miss Amsterdam.
There we are. Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, congratulations to you. That's David Darcy, the Managing Director of Eris Demolition Division. Obviously, a big round of applause to all the nominees. To have been nominated in itself is quite an achievement. Let's go on to award number 5, which is for innovation, plant and equipment. Innovation in demolition and recycling plant and equipment. 4 nominees waiting in the wings. First on the shortlist is Blastrak of the Netherlands for the BMC 335 Elite RC floor saw. Goeiedag. Second we have the Switzerland-based business of US company Caterpillar for the CAT ultra-high demolition machines. Next, back to the UK, Dragon Equipment and its CR300H hybrid concrete crusher. And finally, also from the UK, ES Manufacturing for the Akula diesel and electric hybrid robot. So finding out who is the winner, and we go over for your final announcement for today to the President Francisco Cobo. Can you tell us?
Okay, thank you. The winner for this category is Caterpillar.
So congratulations and thank you to you also, Francisco. Well done to Caterpillar. I think we're going over to Gilles René, the company's demolition products application specialist. Gilles, bonjour, félicitations.
Thank you. We are extremely honored to be receiving this prestigious award in the category Innovation, Plant and Equipment. On behalf of Caterpillar, really thank you. Caterpillar and its dealer network deliver machines, matching work tools, solutions and support services that helps our customer excel in their work, whatever the terrain, climate and conditions. Our customer might be very diverse, but they all have something in common. They expect the best from us. We really understand the importance of anticipating changing customer and future business needs. We know how to adapt to continuously work together as a team to meet those new challenges. Nothing exemplifies this spirit of ingenuity and customer focus better than the new 352 UHG excavator. The next generation platform of CAT excavator open many possibilities for future development and enhancement. Thank you very much for this award, and thank you to all our customers who put their trust in CAT products. I wish you all an excellent World Demolition Summit. Thank you again.
Thank you. Merci à vous. Félicitations, Gilles René. Thank you very much indeed. Now let's move on to award number 6, which is through recycling and environmental. We have a change of announcer for this award, but before I introduce them, here is the shortlist. First of all, Costello Dismantling of the USA's abatement and demolition of Maria Weston Chapman Middle School in Massachusetts. Next of 3 nominees, Despe for demolition of ex-transformer factory in Bergamo in Italy. And from Argentina, Grupo Mitre for demolishing the former plant of the Osram Lighting Company. Now to announce the winner from headline sponsor Volvo Construction Equipment, we have the company's president of the Americas sales region, Stephen Roy. Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, and happy to be with you today. And again, we are proud to be the headline sponsor for the World Demolition Summit. And it is my great pleasure to present the winner in the recycling environmental category, Grupo Mitre.
So applause all around the world. Thank you very much indeed for the announcement, Stephen, and congratulations to Grupo Mitre. Enhorabuenas. I think.
Yes,
they seem very.
We are very happy. Our company is a family company. Very happy. Speak English, no, because engineers speak English. Thank you very much.
We are very happy. First, we want to thank everybody who works at Grupo Mitre and who made everything this possible. We want to thank more than 300 people who work at Mitre and who made everything this, who was involved in this project. It's very hard for our country who has a recycling culture, and it's really hard to work towards a recycling culture and make everything possible. It was a hard environment, and we had several neighbors with houses on every side, and it was very hard for the pollution, and everything was extremely difficult. We worked during the coronavirus. We had to work and we have to make strict restrictions to our work, and we made everything possible. We are extremely happy to be here and to receive this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are very happy. The family here. Thank you.
Enhorabuenas a ustedes. Thank you. That's the Grupo Mitre. Well, fine. First thing in the morning for you. Let's now move on to award number 7, which was for safety and training. This will be concluding the first half of the awards. The all-important category, obviously, of safety and training. And there are 4 shortlisted entries here. First of all, Brandenburg Industrial Service Company from the USA. Afterwards, we have Canada's Budgets Demolition. Once again, on fine form, another appearance from Grupo Mitre. And finally, a second Canadian company, which is Priestley Demolition. So announcing the results from the awards category sponsor, Epiroc, is Managing Director Gordon Hambach. Gordon. We don't.
Now, here
yes.
we go. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for giving us a chance here. The winner of the Safety and Training Award is Budget Demolition.
So there we are, a budget demolition, and I think we can go over and talk to Will Bartels. Will, are you with us, or anybody from? Take it away.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I just want to thank National Demolition Society for recognizing us. We've been working very hard on this for about 4 years. We're very inspired by Tim Barker's speech back in Miami in 2016, and we went on this journey to see where health and safety could bring us as a company. And I just want to pull our health and safety team in here.
There we are. We can see you all. You seem to be in good mood too. So congratulations to Budget Demolition. Thank you very much indeed. Will, so that completes the first half of the awards. Once again, congratulations to all the nominees, and thank you for being with us. Congratulations to the winners, and thank you to the judges. So we will now continue with the conference presentations. The second presentation is actually in the form of a video, as it covers a project based in Australia, and it's been recorded for obvious reasons of the time difference involved. So to describe the Hazelwood Power Station chimneys demolition, I'm going to hand over to Bartek Kokutowski of the Australian contractor Delta Group and Roland Alford from UK-based explosives expert Alford Technologies, and you'll be able to ask Bartek questions afterwards. So let's have a look first of all at the video.
Conveyor belts carry a river of brown coal to the State Electricity Commission's power station at Hazelwood in Victoria.
By 1971, all 8 units were up and running.
For 40 years or more, the life of this valley has revolved around the giant chimney stacks of the power stations.
The plug has been pulled on the Hazelwood Power Station.
The giant Hazelwood Power Station is closing.
The Hazelwood Power Station has been a landmark in the Latrobe Valley for more than 50 years
as a result of this very significant closure.
The Hazelwood Power Station is probably the largest demolition project in Australian history. We commenced an EOI process on an international basis, and that was to get the best in the world to work collaboratively to deliver the project with the requirements that we set, safety principles being the driver. We then went to the market on a ITT, invitation to tender. And there were 7 possible selections made on contractor basis, and then finally got to a selection of 3 preferred contractors. The project is unique in the sense that the scale of the project was very, very heavily laid on with the disciplines that are strong run about safety, quality, performance, history, and obviously the contractors that met the 3 profiles, they were the ones that we went through the final evaluation process to let the contract. And we then got to a position where we were comfortable enough to award the contract. And the contract was awarded to Delta Group.
This is the biggest one that's been done. Obviously, when the project came on board, the whole country and everyone in our industry obviously was talking about it. Everyone wanted a piece of it, and for us to be engaged and obviously be part of that, it was massive. It was something we never done, and I don't think we're going to do it again in Australia.
Engie took a decision in late 2016 to exit coal. So in some cases that meant divestment, in some cases that meant closure. But it's part of a larger global strategy to turn the business and point the business away from the market and more towards customers. And from a growth strategy, that means pursuing opportunities both in renewables and in energy services. The Hazelwood Power Station was really the engine room of a lot of economic growth in Victoria for the last 50 years. It supported a lot of families, and it supported an entire community. The best way to respect that legacy is to hand an asset back to the community that they can be really proud of, that can be useful for next generations.
At the start, it was all about the chimney stacks. We knew that was going to be the biggest process in terms of the approvals. It was going to be the biggest engagement with the community and the forums we had to achieve. We had to attend. We had to sit down with all the regulators. We had to sit down with the council. Obviously, the chimneys was one of those things that obviously was closely watched by not even the state, but even the federal government. We had to ensure that we can provide to them the right method, and we can control all the risks and manage them, that there is no danger to any of the community during any of the demolition processes. We obviously not just had the job to deliver the permits, the approvals, and get the method across the line, but we had a lot of work on site to do to clear the structures around the stacks to enable the fill. Some of the works that we undertake in the first year were clearing of fans, ID fans leading into the chimneys, as well as 24 precipitators set along just at the back of the chimneys for the whole length of the 8 of them. That was the process in itself. I mean, we're not talking about structures that are 5, 8, 10 meters high. They very heavy, 450 tons each structures with a reach of 28 meters. In Victoria, we are bound by a regulation via WorkSafe, where we need to explore every other possibility before we undertake an explosive demolition. That is written in the code, and we have to obviously prove to WorkSafe and authorities that we have looked at other methods, and we deemed explosives being the safest method.
So you see lots, you look on YouTube and you can see videos of chimneys coming down 1 or 2. I've never seen one with 8. To drop all 8, we looked at different sequences, whether we drop them all together, whether we drop them vertically, drop them in which direction, the timings and all of that. And obviously you've got a limited amount of space. The number one rule is that we couldn't shake the ground too much. Vibration was absolutely essential because they're critical assets very close to the chimneys. And if we were to vibrate the ground too much, there's a control room there, which is critical for the whole state of Victoria.
So it was March 2020 when we had everything ready to go. The stage is set, and we now have to bring the guys from UK and obviously deliver the final stages to bring the stacks down.
A travel ban will be placed on all non-residents, non-Australian citizens coming to Australia, and that will be in place from 9 p.m. tomorrow evening.
We cannot shut down. We need to deliver this project. We need to go ahead. We can't have another go at this.
You just couldn't make this stuff up. We are literally on the other side of the world, and the border in Australia is closed.
And we had to start looking at plans B, C's, and D's. We had to bring the stacks down in the period of time, and there was no other way. There was no other option. There was no delay. We could not accommodate another time for it. And then we obviously had to deal with the dust itself and the asbestos from the stacks. Each stack was a 3,000 ton. We're talking 8 stacks, 25,000 ton, plus any coal dust within, plus any refractory brick. It's a heavy impact onto the ground and a heavy impact onto the environment that we had to manage.
So we had a window during which we could actually do the demolition, and that was based on the weather. And so we had to worry about the fire season and make sure that we were outside that, but also only a few kilometres northwest of the chimneys and the site is the town of Morwell. And so we couldn't have any dust going in that direction, so we had to pick a season. And so we were literally looking at years worth of historical data, looking at where the wind's going from. And we saw that there was actually only a short window during the year in which the wind was blowing in the correct direction for us.
So the output of the predictive modelling, the dust modelling, told us that we needed a set of wind conditions, an easterly on the day, 10 kilometres an hour as a minimum speed. So 12 days out we started looking at the weather forecasts and tying that in with the scheduling and all the preparation works that needed to occur ahead of demolition as well. I believe it's a first where this level of predictive modelling has been engaged in preparation for a FAL event in the licensing approvals process.
The success of the rehabilitation project generally counts in large part to how we leave that site. And there's community expectations and there's shareholder expectations that we unlock the future potential that Hazelwood has to offer. There's prime transmission assets right there on site. So there's some future opportunities for battery and storage. There's prime agricultural land, which is available for future development. And then increasingly, there's a recreation opportunity as well. But none of that happens and none of that takes place unless the site is left in absolutely pristine condition.
Well, fascinating video there, and I'm delighted to say that despite it being, 10 to 3 in the middle of the night, Bartek and Roland, I think you're in Melbourne, Australia. Thank you so much for being with us in the middle of the night. We have a few questions coming in. First of all, what was the most challenging part of the project for you?
Thanks, Alex, and thanks for being part of this, obviously, entertainment. Yeah, look, there's a fair few challenges that we had to face. Quite controversial in its closure, one of the biggest power stations in Australia. We faced a quite extensive planning process and approvals process to ensure we can bring the stacks down safely, and considering the degrading state of the stacks. We had to adjust our methods on how we actually undertake these works, including installation of the explosives, as well as being mindful of the impact to the surrounding community, mainly being the dust and asbestos present within the chimneys. From structural perspective, we couldn't remove asbestos prior to demolition, so it was then back to ensuring we can control the demolition in a way that doesn't bring any risk or danger to the surroundings. So quite a well seen project, obviously, and a lot of eyes on it from a state and federal government as well. So upmost was the process of planning prior to the delivery.
And then from my perspective, it was being stuck on the wrong side of the world, as it were, and not able to actually be here and oversee it and manage it. So we had to pull a whole new team together. So we had to recruit people, brief them up, and actually remote control them, really, from the UK. So we were managing it, and we had all the control processes in place, but we were having to do all of that from the UK. So the last couple of weeks, we switched over to Australian time, and we were sort of managing everything. And so it was very complex and challenging, very concerning initially, but very quickly we built up confidence as we realized the caliber of the people that we had actually managed to recruit. But taking one of the biggest demolitions you've ever done and putting it into the hands of people you've never actually met is a leap of faith, shall we say.
I think we're all getting used to doing exciting things remotely in the world we live in. Just the final question, what were the innovations that were part of this project? What would you think were the particularly exciting innovations?
Well, there were something explosively where we just went back to the drawing board, first of all, with our calculations. So I think our structural engineers did a fantastic job of calculating. With a chimney, it's always about when the heel of the chimney collapses. So when the back of it fails under compression, you take out the front. And that dictates exactly where you're going to put the pivot. And so doing that, we created some very neat and some very clever mathematics to actually work out exactly where to do that, so that we get the rotation in advance before it dropped vertically. And once you've got that rotation, you're guaranteed it's going and it's not going to sit down. And I think that we really did some new stuff there. So I was very proud of that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being up in the middle of the night. You can go back to bed now in Melbourne, Australia. We really appreciate you being with us from the other side of the world. Thank you to both of you, Bartek and Roland. Now, before we have a short interval in our ceremony, those of you who are watching who have attended the live WDS event in previous years will know of the prize draw that headline sponsor Volvo Construction Equipment organizes. Obviously, we can't give out the prize today as normal, but as it's a business as usual, we can name the prize winner. And to make the draw, we leave Melbourne in Australia, and I think we go to Sweden, where from Volvo, Lina Morgberg and Paulina Eckerstuber are waiting for us. Hello to Sweden.
Hello, thank you, Alex. And hello to you all from Sweden and Eskilstuna, our pleasured customer center. We stand live here, and we are delighted to be the headline sponsor once again this year. And we are enjoying the event very much, right, Paulina?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. And congratulations to all winners and shortlisted companies.
Before we conduct the prize draw, we would like to encourage all the attendees to visit the Volvo's virtual booth in the Meet the Sponsors section. You can also chat with the Volvo representatives, Jörg, Ian and Tony, and interact with them through the chat function or by one video.
That's correct.
We would be happy to speak to you all.
Now, let's proceed with the prize draw, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exciting. And we have all the names of the registrants here in the machine. And now we will draw out the winner. And the prize is amazing new Volvo A60H by Lego Technique. That's really good. So,
wow.
The winner is Ryan Olson, White Company in US. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to Ryan. We will work with KHL to make sure that the winner receives the prize. Thanks again for the opportunity. We hope you all enjoy the rest of the event. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you very much indeed to both of you. Tack så mycket to Lina and Paulina in Sweden. This is more and more like Eurovision. Thank you anyway. It's very nice to have Volvo live, and congratulations to this year's winners. We'll make sure that you receive the prize after the event. Right. It is now time for a 5-minute break, which is an opportunity for you to network or just to sit back and enjoy a video from our break sponsor, Komatsu. So see you back here in 5 minutes' time. So welcome back, everybody, after that short break. Delighted to have you with us again on this truly global event. And it's now time to hand over to our third conference presentation of the afternoon. It's my pleasure to go over to the United States now in Chicago, and James Milburn, the managing principal of the Milburn Demolition company. Hi there, James. Hi.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon for me, but good morning to a lot of people. Good night for the people in Melbourne. You're going to tell us about the Oakmont Point project that your company carried out, which involved 4 post-tension structures connected by interior pedestrian bridges. And if you have any questions for James, please feel free to send them in. I will ask them after James's presentation. So over to you.
Thanks, Alex. As Alex mentioned, I'll be doing the presentation on our Oakmont Point project, which occurred in Westmont, Illinois. As you can see on this cover slide, that's an overview of the top picture is right when we started the project, and then the bottom picture is, I'd say, 3/4 of the way through. Just a brief agenda overview. First, we'll talk a little bit about our company. Then we'll talk about the project, and then we'll talk about the project challenges that occurred on the project. A little bit about us. We were founded in 2014. We have a fluctuating field crew size of anywhere from 120 to 150 employees. We have over 2,000 successful contracts under our belt since starting in 2014. You can read our mission there, but it's providing creative demolition solutions for our customers, safe careers for our people, and bright futures for our families. We place a high focus on our people, as I'm sure most of the people listening do. Our services include complete structure teardown, interior demolition, and then specialty removals. As you can see, there's fire escape removal, water tank removal, so on and so forth. A little bit about me. That was me about 15 pounds lighter pre-COVID. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Construction Management from Purdue. I'm currently the Secretary of the National Demolition Association. So Oakmont Point overview. Oakmont Point project was a 2-phase project. Phase 1 being the larger phase was December 2018 through March 2019. Phase 2, February 2020 through April of 2020. Total project value was $3.15 million. And the general contractor owner that we were working for was Ryan Companies out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Ryan Companies, as I said, was the owner and the general contractor. So they offer a variety of services. On this one, they happen to be the one-point contact for the project. A couple of key trade partners I want to focus on, or at least acknowledge, were our crane service provider, which is Stevenson Crane, and they had around $250,000 in work for us on this project. Shoring and bracing, Gilco Scaffolding, about $250,000 in contract values on this one as well. And then probably the largest key trade partner on this project was our post-tensioning and engineering partner, Dewey Dag. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Their contract came in around $400,000. So brief overview of phase 1 included a full interior strip out of all the buildings. As Alex mentioned, there are 4 buildings, A, B, C, and D. After the strip out was done, we shored the post-tension beams in building C in order to be able to demolish buildings B and D. Removal of precast facade from buildings B, C, and D. Detensioning, separation, retensioning of the beams at column lines 12 and 9, and the full demolition of buildings B and D down to grade. All concrete from the project was also crushed for reuse on site. So phase 1, step 1, as I mentioned, full interior strip out of all 4 buildings. You can see all 4 buildings in that picture. A being the building on the right, and then progressing B, C, D to the left. A little bit of a snapshot of kind of before and after what the inside of those buildings looked like. They were commercial office usage. So pretty typical finishes that were removed throughout. Step 2 was immediately following the interior strip out phase. We had to shore the 2 beams that you see highlighted in blue there, from grade all the way up to the underside of the roof, in order to allow for us to separate the structures prior to demolition. That's a picture of what the shoring looked like. And as you can see, that's the thickened beam. It was about a 9-foot wide beam, and post tension. Another picture, kind of skip through these pretty quick here. So the third step was we had to install cable fall protection so that when we removed the precast facade, there was no fall hazards present. And then immediately following the cable fall protection install, the precast facade was removed. Got a little video of that. And this is of one of the buildings, building C, I believe. It's showing us prepping and picking the precast with a 90-ton all-terrain crane. We had approximately 350 crane picks on this project, which occurred in an 8-day period. And as you can see, that was a time lapse. I wish it would have gone that fast in real life, but that's took a little bit longer in real time. That was, however, I believe half a day's worth of picking on our end. Oop, I don't know what happened there. Okay, step 4. So this gets into the complicated part of the project. This shows the overview of the bridges between buildings C and D. Building D at the top was to be totally demolished. And as you can see, the bridges that were connecting the 2 buildings were cantilevered out from building C, which was to remain. So this occurred at 2 bridge locations on floors 2, 3, and 4. We had to shore up underneath them. The general scope was to expose and detension the tendons after shoring was installed, locally demolish the bridge concrete, install new reinforcing, form and pour concrete, and then retension the tendons in order to allow building C to stand on its own. Here's a little bit of a zoom shot. This is all the drawings that we had to work with. We didn't have post-tensioning as-builts to work with. We just had the existing structurals, which I'll go through a little bit later, but that's a bigger shot of the existing post-tension beam and how it cantilevered across. And you can see the pour stop on that one was located adjacent to building D, which was to be demolished. The picture on the right shows the green section of bridge, which we needed to remove completely. And then the blue line kind of shows where we had to do our retensioning and reinforcing work prior to the demolition. And this is similar condition, but a little bit different on the east side. So between buildings C and B, the bridge cantilever was only halfway between the 2 structures. So you can see how the pour stops in the middle of the bridge, right in that area. But same idea, shore, detention, expose, form and pour concrete, and then retension the tendons at those locations. And that's a little bit of a zoom shot, same scenario here. Where the blue line shows the point of retensioning at the building to remain. And the red section here at the bottom was the cantilever portion that was coming off of a building that we were demolishing in its entirety. Here is another time lapse that shows once the detensioning and retensioning was completed, it shows the demolition of buildings B and D. B being on the right, D being on the left. or towards the end of the video, you can see how they're setting up cranes and concrete pump trucks to enable the reconstruction of Building C. Off to the right, you can see Building A, which was basically fully gutted during phase 1, but sat vacant while they figured out what they wanted to do with it, which led to phase 2. Let's see. I won't show this video in essence to save some time here, but that's just showing how we crushed all the material on site in the parking lot adjacent. Let's see. Phase 2 of the project was in 2020. We came back. We completed the gut of shaft walls and remaining MEPs in Building A. We removed the precast facade from Building A, and then we created a large roof slab opening for a new HVAC system. There's a little picture of us coming back for the gut. That's the precast removal. And that is showing the roof opening that we had to create on Building A. So the challenges to this project. We had 3 major challenges. First challenge was the schedule on the project. Second challenge was logistics for the Building A precast removal that occurred in phase 2. And the third, and probably the most in-depth challenge I'm going to go into here is was the post-tension beam and slab alteration scope. So first and foremost, the schedule. Phase 1 schedule was 4 months for all scopes. We were not the low bid on this project. The low bidder couldn't commit to the schedule. And so Ryan came to us. And while the schedule was extremely aggressive, we put a plan in place to meet their schedule, and thus were awarded the project. Second challenge was the precast removal. Building A had a pond to the east, which we were told by the village, we weren't allowed to touch, and nothing was allowed to get dropped in it, or we'd be in trouble with them. So it required a 550-ton crane with a luffing jib. And in addition to that, phase 1, Building C that you saw on a previous slide was now occupied, and so was the parking lot next door. So logistics became a little bit more challenging. In these photos, you can see from across the pond the large crane setup that we had to use for this portion of work. We had to mobilize this crane on a Saturday, which caused a major increase in permitting and just overall logistics and setup costs, which we had accounted for in our bid. And the larger pieces of precast on the east face were 25,000 pounds approximately, which is why we needed such a large crane, due to the distance away from the pick point.
Stand up. Say hi.
Oh, I left that little audio in there. Apologize. There you can see the one of those large precast picks utilizing the 550-ton crane. And I'll skip to the next one. So the third challenge, which I'm going to go into a little more in depth, was the post-tensioning alterations. As I mentioned before, with demolition of structures D and B required us to detension and retension the bridge connections between the buildings, so that Building C was stabilized on its own. The existing bridge spanning from Building C to B was cantilevered to the midpoint, which I showed you earlier. The discovery occurred in the field that existing beams to remain were not reinforced per the existing structural drawings, which required engineering changes in the middle of the project. So this plan here was the original plan. So the bridge that was getting severed was to have about a 18-inch cantilever at its final pour position. The picture on the right shows the condition in the field that is shown on the plan on the left. So this is what originally we were supposed to do. This only ended up working at 2 locations. I think 6 of the other locations required this updated plan where they had to shrink the overhang in order to accommodate the new facade that was being installed. As you can see, the overhang limit was reduced from 18 inches to 3 inches. So that required a few changes. The first one being we were required to custom fabricate anchors because in order to spread the weight of the post tensioning work, the anchors had to be much closer together. This plate, while it doesn't look that complicated, is very hard to manufacture. Luckily in Chicago we have somebody close that was able to turn those around fairly quickly to avoid major schedule impact. Then due to this anchorage change, it required a bursting steel modification. So traditional rebar reinforcing was not going to work at these locations due to the shrunk space, or lesser space to work with. So we ended up using tension rods welded to steel plates, and this eliminated congestion that we were running into with typical rebar methods. It also allowed us to make the parts fit around the existing PT without interfering with their existing locations. And the third setback we had was that a couple of the 2 of the locations, I believe, had an issue with the post tension anchors running through the column at the perimeter of the structure. The only way to accommodate the 3-inch maximum overhang was to actually create a pocket in the slab inward of the column and create a new place to retension cables. And so as you can see there on the right, that's showing you those pockets that were created. The other challenge, which will probably go back to schedule more than anything, is due to the project delay, the initial kickoff delay. We hit the winter months in Chicago with a fully gutted and facade removed structure. We had to create tents and install heaters and make sure that the concrete pourbacks were kept to the right temperatures so they could get to strength. In a couple of cases, this also required us to have a monitor on site 24 hours to make sure there was no issues with the heaters or the tents. A little bit, I'll show a video about it's a overview video of the whole project so you can see kind of start to finish. let's see, I skipped one. Let's see. As a result of the project, or the end result was we worked over 13,000 man hours on site safely. We won a safety award from the general contractor, Ryan Companies, as their 2019 subcontractor safety award. And 98.6% of all demolition materials from the job were recycled and or diverted from the landfill. That's a quote from our customer. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much indeed, James, and for that fascinating video. It's certainly interesting to watch it all speeded up and the challenges that you talked about. We have a few questions. First of all, what in particular was different about this project compared to others in Milburn's history?
The largest difference in this project was the post-tensioning alterations. The building structure type on this project was one that we haven't encountered prior, and I don't expect to encounter a similar condition in the future. So it created a unique impact on working with our post-tensioning contractor and the general contractor and the 2 engineers of record, to make sure that the project wasn't delayed during those changes.
Another question, can you talk a little about the concrete crushing requirements of the project?
Yeah, so all concrete was crushed into 3" minus and CA6, which was separated into 2 different piles and then utilized on site when the earthwork contractor regraded the locations where the 2 buildings were demolished.
Okay, and last question, can you tell us a little bit about the building information modeling? Did you work with that or not?
We did not do any BIM on the project. We had the structural engineer of record had an initial design set, and then our engineer, which was hired through the post-tensioning contractor, had basically submittals that were specific to the retensioning process. Those 2 engineers worked closely together to when the reworks were required, but no BIM was used on the project.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a personal question. Are you ever going to get a president? Do we have a result soon or not?
I thought we weren't going to go there, Alex. I don't know. I think, I would say by January we will.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that scoop then, James. Thank you so much for that very interesting presentation. Thank you. So now we go over to the second group of awards announcements. You've heard earlier from some of our awards judges. I'd now like to introduce you to another member of the judging panel who, as I'm sure many of you know, has been a part of WDS since its very earliest days. And he would like to share a few words with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have him on video, John Woodward.
In this unprecedented time of COVID-19, lockdowns around the world, and wearing a mask as a necessity rather than a fashion statement, we will see the KHL DRI World Demolition Awards 2020 as an online event for the first time ever. Perhaps the move to online is perfect timing. After all, as I'm hanging up my judge's hat after these awards and retiring from a job I've enjoyed since 2009. I was approached by KHL to sit on the awards judging panel while serving my term as IDE Vice President to Dr. Terry Quarmby, and I'm honoured to have managed to retain that place until now. KHL said that the awards were groundbreaking and would, they hoped, run for at least 2 years. It's a testament to their professionalism and dedication that the awards are more successful now, 11 years later, than I or KHL ever dreamed of. My memories of the first few years of the awards are that in those days the judges met in a London hotel for 2 days. We spent the time in conference rooms studying each of the entries, discussing the merits, and we drew up our shortlists. 11 years later, it's all electronic. The process is similar, but the carbon footprint has been reduced significantly. The award started life in Amsterdam, which was a city of choice for the first 7 years, before KHL decided to embrace the ever-growing numbers of entries from America and take the event to Miami, from there back to London, then Dublin and Boston, thus cementing its place as a truly world event. The first few years of the awards saw multiple winners, but recent years, however, have seen more entries from more companies and countries around the world than ever before, and now we tend to see more of a global spread of winners. I was interested to see what changes have occurred in demolition during the lifetime of the awards, and here are a few of the game changers for me. Quick release attachment couplers like OilQuick, Lenoff and Geith have led to greater efficiency and better use of machines. Within explosive demolition, the biggest change really is the 3D computer simulation software developed by Applied Science International, which allows us to predict with far more accuracy how a structure will behave. But perhaps the most significant change has been the deep implementation of reverse engineering to the demolition process, with companies now more than ever before studying closely the makeup of the structure to be demolished and how it will react under demolition loads, particularly if cantilevers, stored energy and top-heavy structures need to be removed to make way for the future. We can be sure that whatever is groundbreaking within the demolition industry will be featured either within the 2020 Summit programme or as part of an awards entry this year. To all who entered this year, thank you for great entries in all categories, for embracing what KHL have tried to do with the awards to make them true world awards, and for making my last year as a judge memorable. World Demolition Awards, it's been a blast. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to take part and to allow me to bow out at the right time and spend more time with Jill and the Greyhounds. It's goodbye from me as a judge, but not goodbye from me as a delegate. Hopefully when the 2021 awards come around, masks will not be required and the world will get back to some form of normality.
Well, thank you very much indeed, John Woodward. And I know the whole of the KHL group joins me in wishing you a very, very happy retirement. Thanks so much for all your contributions. So I'm sure you'll be very happy to know we're going to go on with the next group of awards. We have 7 category titles in this final segment. We're going to start with award number 8, which is for industrial demolition. 4 short-listed companies here. Demex of Australia's demolition of buildings in the Mulwala explosives facility. From the UK, Erith Contractors project at a chloromethanes plant in Runcorn in the northwest of England. We have another Australian company, Liberty Industrial, for a program of demolition works at the Iluka Resources mineral sands mining and processing facilities. And yes, from Australia again, McMahon Services for the deconstruction and scrapping of K and gantry cranes at PSA's Singapore City terminals. So to announce the winner from the category sponsor Steelris, delighted to have with us Peter Lamb. Over to you, Peter.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Alex. And thank you, KHL, for arranging a great alternative for us in this demolition industry to come together and celebrate together around the world in a safe way in these strange times. And to all demolition contractors with us today, I would like to salute you all for the hard work your teams have put in this year in an already challenging environment to keep your staff and personnel safe and avoid spreading the virus while keeping the business running and the wheels in our industry turning. And I'm very grateful for that, and I believe we all are. And for those who I have not the chance to meet, my name is Peter Lamb, and I'm a demolition equipment specialist. I'm proud to represent Steelris We are a solution provider of full automatic quick couplers for the demolition and recycling contractors to rapidly increase your work efficiency by changing the work tools in seconds. Safety and productivity are achieved when using the right tools for the right job at the right time. And we are here Steel Wrist side by side with the machine OEMs and the tool OEMs to help you modernizing your equipment so you can do more, safer, and with less. And we welcome you to visit our site under the Meet the Sponsor. With that said, I'm humble to present the winner of the 2020 Industrial Demolition Award. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2020 Industrial Demolition Awards go to McMahon Services. Congratulations.
And I think we have a video of them. Let's go over to McMahon Services.
On behalf of McMahon Services, we are proud to accept this award. We would like to thank David McMahon, Andrew McMahon, and Hamish Finlay for giving us the confidence and commitments to get this project done. We'd particularly like to thank PSA for giving us the opportunity to complete this challenging project. We'd like to thank all the staff back in McMahon Services Adelaide office, as well as all the staff in Singapore, including our subcontractors and workers, for assisting us in this project. We believe that we met the high safety standards of Singapore. Over the project, we completed 19 key cranes, 26 rubber-tied gantry cranes, and 3 rail-mounted gantry cranes over a period of 11 months. Once again, we'd like to thank you for this award.
Yes, thanks for the award. It was a very challenging project. The logistics of working in a very busy port, one of the biggest ports in the world, certainly created some logistical issues, but we overcame them with assistance with PSA and delivered a very successful project. Thank you very much.
There we are. Congratulations to McMahon Services. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's move on now to award number 9, which is Innovation Tools and Attachments for demolition and recycling tools and attachments. We have 4 companies shortlisted in this category. First of all, Blade Core from the USA for the Nightcore Premium Blade series. Next is another US firm, Demolition Resources Incorporated, for the Simple Shim. Germany's Epiroc for the HatCon remote monitoring device. And finally, Webster Technologies from the UK's Rocket Hydraulic Breaker. So on announcement duties for the rest of this afternoon, we're delighted to have with us the president of the National Demolition Association of the USA, Chris Godek. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Alex. I'd like to just say that I'm humbled and honored to be taking care of the awards for the rest of the package today, and I am immensely delighted to announce that the winner of this category is Webster Technologies.
There we are. Congratulations to Webster Technologies. I think we have somebody from Webster Technologies. Let's go over and see. Congratulations. Who do we have?
Recognition means a lot after many years of development. And I have to say, for a small company of less than 10 people, this is a fair achievement. And this award's for everyone at Webster's. I'd like to thank Innovate UK for the grant assistance we've had over the years and the suppliers we've had who've helped us with the development of bespoke products. And a big thank you to Rockler GmbH, the only company who was willing to support me through the conceptual days. And I should know, I've asked a few. And finally, a big thank you to Barry Camplin, my mate, who set me off on this path many years ago, but sadly passed away and didn't get to see the thing finished. So thank you, and I thank you everyone again. And finally, I'd just like to say I look forward to showing some of the other products that we're looking to develop using this technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the technical director, Ian Webster. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations. Let's move on to award number 10 now, which is Contract of the Year under $1 million US. Now we have 5 awards left to announce. We return to this project-based category here, and the shortlist comprises 4 nominees, a joint entry from UK companies Apex Demolition and C&D Demolition Consultants for 8284 Great Eastern Street in London, Shoreditch. Next, Despe for the Curva Nord at the Atalanta Football Stadium in Bergamo in Italy. A second entry now from Despe for a tank demolition at the Pavia Acque Reservoir. And finally, Liberty Industrial Australia for the Hanson Blackwattle Bay Concrete Batching Plant Demolition. Chris, put them out of their misery, please.
Yes, Alex. The winner of this category is Liberty Industrial.
So Liberty Industrial, I think we have the winning company's representative director, Simon Gill. Simon, are you with us? Oh, we don't seem to have Simon. Simon, come in, unmute, talk to us. No? Well, I don't know if you can hear us, but anyway, the whole world is applauding. We can't see you or hear you, unfortunately. I think we have a short break, but anyway, congratulations to Liberty Industrial and all of you for winning that award. Let's move on to our next award, which is Contract of the Year, $1 million US or more. This is award number 11. And on the short list for the second Contract of the Year category, we start off with Brandenburg Industrial Service Company for the Liberty Rig project in Alaska. Once again, Despe for demolishing the Auchan shopping center on the outskirts of Milan. Erith Contractors for the Whiteleys redevelopment in London. Number 4 is Priestley Demolition for phase 1 of the former Victor Diamond Mine demolition project in Canada. And last but not least, S. Evans and Sons for the Churchill Way flyover demolition, once again in Liverpool, back in the UK. Chris, which of our 5 nominees won?
So Alex, Contract of the Year of $1 million or more goes to Brandenburg Industrial Service Corp.
So there we are, Brandenburg, congratulations, representing the company. Yes, here we have Dennis McGarrell, I think.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Alex. Similar to, I'd like to thank KHL first, Steve Ducker and his team. Similar to them, I think in this day and age, they accepted a challenge to perform this virtually. Brandenburg accepted the challenge of performing some works that we hadn't done before for the first time, but as an organization, we accepted the challenge, equipped our execution team properly, and they executed a project flawlessly with doing some things for the first time. So we thank you very much for putting on this event and for the recognition.
Thank you very much indeed, and congratulations to Brandenburg. Let's now go on to the Collaboration in Demolition Award, which is our award number 12, which recognizes the efforts of demolition contractors and other stakeholders in key projects. The full list of companies in each nomination is in the back of your shortlisted brochure, but these are the demolition contractors who entered the category. First of all, Delta Group for the new Western Australia Museum project. Grupo Mitre for demolishing the burned down Torre Siliva building in Buenos Aires province in Argentina. Jet Demolition for the fast track implosion of 3 high-rise buildings in India. And Priestley Demolition for its part in the Province House Conservation project in Canada. Chris.
Alex, the Collaboration Award winner is Delta Group, along with Multiplex, K's Engineering, Perth Rigging, Roxton, and Vasenge Consulting. And I hope I didn't get any of those wrong.
Not always easy to pronounce, I know the feeling. So let's go over to, I think we have Delta's communication manager, Damien Hanger. Damien, are you with us?
Very much. We're very proud to bring home another award for Australia. Firstly, congrats to all the finalists and to all the winners. Thanks to all the sponsors and KHL. Without you guys, we don't come together as a virtual community. And thank you to our West Australian team who delivered such a challenging project. And finally, to our client Multiplex and to our project partners who shared this recognition: K's Engineering, Perth Rigging, Roxton, and Vesang Corporation. But thank you again.
Thank you. Where are you, Damien? Where are you? You're in Australia? Where are you?
I'm on our farm in Mornington Peninsula in Victoria.
Right. Well, you're obviously up right in the middle of the night.
Quarter to 4 in the morning.
Well, it's well worth it anyway. Thank you. And congratulations once again to Delta. So 2 awards to go, and the final 2 categories, the only ones without a short list. So we're going to go to Award 13, which is the new entrant award, and this is given to companies shortlisted for the very first time or after an absence of at least 3 years, and which scored highest from the judges without winning in the category or categories that they were entered for. So Chris, could you tell us who won the new entrant award?
Yes, Alex, the new entrant award winner is Demex of Australia.
And I think this was for the industrial demolition project at the Murwala explosives facility. Maybe we have Richard Todd, who's Demex director. I don't know if he's up in the middle of the night. Richard, are you with us? Richard, can we reach Australia? Somebody wake him up quick. No, anyway. So Demex of Australia, and that was for the new entrant award last time. No, nobody from Demex. Anyway, congratulations to them. It is kind of 5 o'clock in the middle of the night anyway. So let's move to our last award, and traditionally in WDS terms, we come to the overall World Demolition Award. Very exciting moment, also known obviously as the best of the best, given to the single entry from all the category winners that the judges thought was a cut above everything else. A very exciting, suspenseful moment. Chris, can you announce who is the best of the best?
Yeah, yes, Alex. The World Demolition Award for 2020 goes to Jet Demolition for the Bank of Lisbon implosion in Johannesburg.
So thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you also, Chris, for a great job, and huge congratulations to Jet Demolition. Let's chat once again to the managing director, Joe Brinkman. Congratulations, Joe. Would you like to say a few words of having won this final award, the best of the best?
I'm almost speechless, and it's a huge thrill. Yeah, sorry guys, I wasn't expecting this.
It sounds like there's a lot of celebration going on in the background. Where are you? Where are you calling us from? Joe?
We're in Johannesburg, and we have a group of people here from our office, and that's some of the noise you hear in the background. Sorry. They just
not at all.
Over the other screen.
Well, well-deserved celebrations. Anyway, the best of the best, and congratulations to all our nominees and to all our winners. Thank you very much Joe Brinkman. That was a well-deserved award for Jet Demolition. With the awards now completed, we're going to move to our final speaker and a truly iconic project. I'm sure a lot of you are waiting for this last part to talk about the demolition of the Morandi Bridge in Genoa in Italy and his company's part in it, Andrea Gazzola, who's business development manager of heavy lifting specialist Fagioli, who is appearing here by recorded video. After the video, we hope to have Andrea live to answer any of your questions about this very important project. Here we are, Andrea. We have Demex from the new entrant. I think I've just been told in my earpiece, which I don't have, but I've just been told that we couldn't get in touch with them before. The new entrant award was Demex, and I think we have them. Demex, you got the award. Hello? No. How frustrating. Demex, anybody from Demex? Can you hear us? Can you unmute? No, maybe we'll come back to you after we've heard from Andrea Gazzola from the Morandi Bridge in Genoa in Italy. Let's have a listen to him.
Oddio! Oddio! Oddio!
Ragazzi, è venuto giù il ponte, non ci credo.
Numero unica emergenza. Buongiorno, è appena crollato il ponte dell'autostrada sul Polcevera. Ma come è crollato? È crollato. Metà del ponte è crollato sulla strada di sopra. Il ponte dell'autostrada sul Polcevera.
Ho sentito un rumore sordo e ho visto la strada che andava giù e io andavo giù con lei. Mi sento miracolato, sì, perché sembrava di stare in un film.
Stiamo cercando di tirare fuori un attimo le persone, ci cadiamo giù. Abbiamo delle persone sepolte.
When, on the 14th of August 2018, a 210-meter section of the Morandi Bridge collapsed, Genoa was put in need by one of the saddest tragedies ever occurred to this ancient and glorious city. Since 1963, the bridge was not only part of the modern landscape and architectural representation of the city, but due to its location, it was one of the major links from Italy to France. After this tragic event, the city of Genoa, supported by the Italian government, decided to give a boost in accelerating the procedures of demolition of the bridge. Fagioli was called together with other expert operators for the removal of Morandi Bridge sections, including experts in structural and architectural design and companies specialized in environment reclamation. Fagioli used tower lift and strain jacking system, crawler cranes used either for the lifting lowering of material and as a support for Fagioli equipment, SPNTs to mobilize the sections at ground level. Fagioli started the operation of the removal of the Burger beam number 8, comprised between V-shaped piles number 7 and number 8, weighing about 916 tons, with a length of about 36 meters and 18 meters wide. Fagioli used 4 by 600 ton capacity strain jacks, 2 strain jacks on the western side bridge pylon and 2 on the eastern side, to lower the central bridge section. The jacks used for the lowering operation were positioned onto cantilever beams, provided with additional 4 strain jacks, 180 ton capacity each, with the task of balance the whole structure. 2 counterbalancing support beams were transversally positioned underneath the western and eastern bridge pylons, in order to anchor all the lifting lowering structure to the west-east bridge sections. 2 support beams were positioned underneath the Burger beam section. On the eastern bridge pylon, another structure was positioned at the top end of the bridge with 2 additional strain jacks with counterweights, with the task of providing a counterbalancing action during the lowering. Following the same procedure, position of the counterweights and strain jacks, removal of deck constraints such as fixed and mobile joints, lifting action of the beam by a few centimeters, cutting operation with diamond wires, beam number 7, 850 ton, beam number 6 and beam number 5, each weighing 916 ton, were lowered by strain jacking system in 2 months. By the end of March, deck beam number 4 was lowered and touched ground. In the meantime, on March the 18th, 5 cranes arrived in Genoa to be used for the dismantling operations of the western piles. 2 main cranes have a capacity of 600 ton each. The V-shaped pile number 5 was the first pile to be demolished on the west side of the bridge. The operation started with the removal of the lateral parts, the sidewalks. The deck was sectioned in 3 parts in the longitudinal direction. The first section, weighing 300 ton, was lowered on the 16th of April, the second on the 19th of April and the third on the 26th of April by crawler cranes with a rotation action. After the 3 portion of the deck beam, the pillars were also sectioned to 2/3 of their height by oblique cuts and sections taken away by Fagioli SPNTs. In the same way, the pile number 4, end of May, pile number 7, first half of June, pile number 6, first week of July, pile number 3, end of July, and pile number 8, early days of August, were dismantled and sections taken away by the SPNTs. Beam number 11, weighing 750 ton, was cut and lowered with jacks by the end of May. If blasting with explosives was initially foreseen for the pile number 8, it was decided to disassemble just like the other piles. Being 4 meters longer than all the others, it required some additional cuts. Unlike the other piles, the legs of pile number 8 were cut with diamond wire and loaded and lowered with Fagioli crawler cranes. Pile number 2, the last one left, was demolished at the same time as the pile 8. The demolition of the bridge ended on the 12th of August 2019, whilst Fagioli's scope of work ended on the 31st of July. Demolition works on complex structures require a relevant planning effort, as in many cases we need to operate on civil structures conceived and built many years ago, with different regulations compared to nowadays requirements. This is the case of the Morandi Bridge, one of the highest expressions of the Italian engineering capacity in the field of pre-stressed concrete structures back in the 60s. The partial collapse of the structure determined a situation of anomalous static balance and potentially risky condition in the remaining structure. Consequently, the procedures adopted for the dismantling of the bridge involved a detailed preparatory phases of securing and functional testing of the remaining structures, in order to ensure that the operations would take place in conditions of maximum safety and stability. The viaduct was divided into distinct sections with different structural peculiarities. To the west side, the viaduct consisted of a series of 8 piles with inclined V-shaped columns embedded at the base, with an average length of 36 meters and a height of 45 meters. To the east side, there were only 2 large cable-stayed piles with cantilever spans, total length of about 180 meters and total height of 90 meters. Fagioli proceeded with repeated load tests carried out by detecting the deformation of the structure. In order to identify the conditions of post-incidental stress and the residual resistant capacity, the entire work was modeled on the finished elements and calculated in all its temporal phases, from construction to collapse up to the representation of all the intermediate steps of the planned dismantling operations. The rheological effects, deformation and flow within a material, of post-compression were assessed with laser scanners. Steps were taken to restore the balance of the surviving structures, which resulted to have high asymmetrical loads due to the lack of the collapsed structural elements. This is the case of pile 8, which due to the loss of the burger beam on the eastern side was in a strong unbalanced condition. The rebalancing operation was performed by applying external forces at the support of the collapsed pad, of an amount equal to the weight of the latter. The external vertical load, equal to about 300 tons, was applied by means of two cable recovery jacks, positioned onto the cantilever beam of the pile, contrasted at the base by a counterweight of adequate mass. The piles were previously reinforced in order to guarantee more safety. Once the safety and functional tests were completed, the real demolition phases began. To the west side, the 8 piles and the related burger beams were dismantled in pieces. For the dismantling of the burger beams supported by the V-shaped piles, a metal structural work system was designed, resting onto the piles. The lifting system, positioned at the end of the cantilever bridge section, raised it gradually in order to allow the cutting of the support onto which it was placed and lowering it to the ground. The positioning of strain jacks opposite to the lifting one guaranteed stability. The support system of Fagioli cantilever beam system was designed to distribute the load onto the pile in an isostatic and uniform manner, able to perfectly transfer the 250-ton load of each of the 2 strain jacks onto the 3 beams of the pile. The load transferred to each concrete structure was applied by support, that is by contact from below, and not by traction. This kind of methodology required to do some holes, executed with core drilling machines, and avoiding plastering elements of carpentry onto the reinforced concrete. This action increased safety on site. This activity was carried out by making longitudinal cuts in the concrete structure, about 36 meters long with thickness up to 3 meters, using Tyrolite diamond wire, specifically designed for reinforced concrete processing. The whole concrete structure was divided into 3 large blocks with a weight suitable for lifting by means of 2 Fagioli Demag CC 2800 crawler cranes in SSL configuration with 78-meter boom, superlift 300 ton at 13 meters. Due to the shape of the pile, before it was cut, it was necessary to support it with the cranes, which maintained for the entire duration of the cut a weight close to the 100% of its weight. For what concerned the 2 piles on the eastern side that survived the collapse of the third, they were much higher and more complex to be handled compared to the piles on the western side, as they were cable-stayed with large cantilever beams. 3 pairs of Fagioli lifting towers were erected, 2 for pile 10 and 1 for pile 11, each 50 meters high, positioned on specifically cast concrete foundations. Lifting towers had the function of temporarily supporting 3 cantilever beams of the piles from below in the event of structural collapse of the stays. The support beams also applied a vertical load upwards of about 600 tons to ensure a rebalancing of the loads. The leftist lifting towers and beams were therefore designed for 2 load combinations. The first called service, with loads imposed by the hydraulic system on the concrete structure equal to 600 tons per pair of towers, and the second called extra heavy, with loads imposed on the hydraulic system from the concrete structure equal to 2,400 tons per tower pair. In order to increase precision and constantly monitor the load transmitted to the reinforced concrete structure, a reading system with load cell was also adopted, with an accuracy of 0.5%, with readings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The system was mounted at the base of each jack. The securing operation allowed the removal of the burger beam 11. extremely proud to have been on board of this challenging project. Zero accidents.
Some fascinating pictures, an incredible accomplishment there. As I say, we're delighted to have with us Andrea Gazzola, who's business development manager at Fagioli. I think you're live with us in Gorgonzola, of all places of the cheese fame.
Exactly, Alex. Here I am.
Buon formaggio. I have quite a few questions for you. What was the most satisfying part of the project?
Well, I think one of the most satisfying was linking the demolition phase of the project to the reconstruction phase of the project, which actually came together and kind of overlap one with the other. And seeing the bridge that connected the two parts of the city going back into its place. And this is one of the most interesting part of the project, definitely.
Now, obviously, says somebody, there was a high amount of national and international media interest in the project itself. Did this cause any additional work or time pressure, or just even pressure on you, the intense international interest?
Oh, definitely pressure. I don't want to say work. We had actually people dedicated to the media and communication on a day-by-day basis. We had 24 hours of cameras on the project, running day and night on multiple points, just looking at the bridge and activities going on. So that actually obviously gives a little bit of pressure into the operations. You can't miss anything. You can't do any mistake because everybody's watching you. And we are on the news every day. So it definitely gives a lot of pressure, but we're kind of used to working under pressure. So that helps.
Somebody says an amazing engineering and deconstruction project. Congratulations. But wants to know, what was the overall cost for the demolition?
A lot. I can tell you that. I can't disclose that, but it was very challenging, and also it implied a lot of side works and in connection to the underground protections. They were very congested and urbanized area. So we had gas underground. We had a lot of things that impacted the demolition phase. So besides that, we also had some asbestos issues in terms of material with which the construction of the bridge was made. So a lot of things impact on the cost, but we stayed in budget, I can tell you that. Right?
Congratulations. And final question, according to the status of different bridges around Europe, just your estimation, how many have to be demolished in the next 10 years?
I have no idea, but I can guess a lot of them. A lot of them definitely would need, at least in Italy, a lot of them need some significantly refit. I don't know exactly how many bridges will have to be demolished, but there are some of them in Italy for sure. And there's going to be a lot of work in the next future for everybody. Yep.
Just one final question from me. In one sentence, what did you learn from this experience?
We learned a lot. I want to say that the best thing that we learned is how to work together with the partners that worked with Fagioli on the project under a lot of pressure with very short time available, and way to work together and cooperation by the parties was very, very good. And I found this a very positive experience and also learning experience in terms of project execution.
Okay, well, grazie a lei, Fagioli. Andrea Gazzola, thank you very much for being live with us from Gorgonzola. So this now brings us to the final section of our live events today with Steve Ducker, the editor of Demolition and Recycling International, who I think wishes to say a few final words. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Alex.
thank you for a fantastic job hosting the event for us today. Our first online event. It's been a fascinating couple of hours for me, virtually visiting Australia, South Africa, Italy, Sweden, etc. And it's now my pleasure to welcome everyone from Wadhurst in the south of England, in East Sussex. So I won't say a lot, but just thank you to our speakers for their excellent and thought-provoking presentations, and thank you to the audience for their questions. I know it's not easy summing up a demolition project in 15 minutes, but the speakers really nailed it, so thank you all so much for that. I'm also extremely grateful to the dedicated judges for their hard work, and if I can just backtrack slightly and take a few moments to express my thanks to John Woodward for all the time that he's put into these awards over the years in the judging role and in the World Demolition Summit in general. It's been an absolute pleasure to have someone like that on our side. I'm only sorry I can't be saying this to him in person, but I'm sure the Bilash Curry House, Wolverhampton, will open eventually sometime, and I'll get the chance. Thank you to the sponsors, Volvo Construction Equipment, Epiroc, Steel Wrist, Komatsu, Dehako, Genesis, Intermat, Kyverco Recycling Plant, Kakurek Excavators, Matic Machinery Technology, the National Federation of Demolition Contractors, Senibogan, and Terry Irving Business Generation. It's a long list of companies, and it's a phenomenal level of support. We thank you all. And we also thank the European Demolition Association and the National Demolition Association of the US for their ongoing support. Thanks to Francisco, sorry I can't pronounce it as well as you, Alex, and Chris for all their efforts today for us. It's a slightly different WDS. It's been a bit different, but I'd like to thank all the delegates who've stuck with us and all the new ones who've attended maybe for the first time today in our virtual setting. We've missed you all. Surely we hope it's only temporary, which is why, before I hand you back to Alex, I'm proud to invite you all to save the date for next year, 2021, when we're going to Chicago. So that's it from me. Back to you, Alex, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve. Thank you for those closing words. A recording of today's event will be available to view in due course at khl.com, and everybody who has been attending will receive an email notification. Thank you all so much for having watched this new version of our event. I hope you found it as interesting and as innovative as we did. Have a great evening, and from me and from all of us here, goodbye.